So Disney really thought that Snow White was gonna make this huge amount of money this week. They released Snow White in over 1,000 years, and usually when Disney does this, they usually do this around Labor Day, and usually the movie has a massive increase in sales. But this is not a Pixar movie. This is not a major movie that Disney released, because like even though they're gonna probably release it again in theaters, you know. Like they release so many movies into the theaters, Disney does, okay, as well. They do this every year with Pixar movies on Labor Day, okay. And usually those movies, it's to make an extra buck for those movies as well. As Labor Day is usually a very slow weekend, but Mother's Day there's not really any movies releasing for Mother's Day. So what does Disney do? Oh, let's release Snow White into the theaters because people really liked watching Snow White the first time. Okay, people really liked watching Snow White the first time, and nope, no one went to go see Snow White. No one went to go see Snow White. Yep, Snow White. Okay, is not gonna hit $100 million. Okay, last weekend Snow White made $217,000. Okay, yeah. Currently, Snow White is a small increase. Okay, over last week as well. Okay, a small increase. Okay, over last week. 69,000 compared to 45,000 as well. Okay, let's assume it does very well on Tuesday and Sunday as well. But it's around 100,000, 120 to 130,000 per week. You're looking at basically around $350,000, which is not very good at all. Okay, they managed to barely get this movie to pass the Marvels as well. Yeah, and this movie is an absolute embarrassment for Disney. Okay, this movie is basically performing almost similar to the Marvels. It's performing slightly better than the Marvels. Slightly better than the Marvels. Of course, he adjusted for inflation. The Marvels is still doing better than Snow White. Yes, if he does the Marvels for inflation, if he both movies released at the same time, adjusted for inflation, if Marvels released in 2025, the Marvels would still beat Snow White domestically and even globally, which again is a embarrassment for Disney as well. The fact that this movie is doing worse than the Marvels as well. Okay, the movie is doing worse than the Marvels as well. It's doing worse. As does for inflation. There means this movie is also doing worse than Alita as well. As I find pretty funny, you know. If you adjust both movies for inflation, Alita made $105 million when you adjust the movie for inflation. Snow White is way below the a movie that released in 2019. And remember, that movie was supposed to be a $200 million flop, like Snow White is. Okay? Alita, remember when they all said the movie would be a $200 million flop, but it never was? Okay? But you know what's funny? The sequel to Captain Marvel was a $100 million flop, and Snow White was a $200 million flop for Disney. Okay? These are two of the biggest box office failures of all time. Snow White and the Marvels. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Disney really thought that this movie would be this huge hit when it really was not. It really was not this huge hit. Nobody cared about this movie. This movie bombed very quickly. And yeah. 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 But it's absolute embarrassment. Snow White is continuing to be an absolute embarrassment as well. Okay. As well, this movie is only making 69,000. They have Thunderbolts in. The movie dropped 72% from last week as well, which is still not very good for this movie, but doing way better than Snow White, obviously. Yeah. And actually, Snow White finally, okay, Thunderbolts finally got into the green as well. Okay. Yeah. Snow White finally, finally got into the green. No, that's not right. Thunderbolts finally got into the green. Okay. And that's what this video here. Goodbye.